Ever wanted to learn music theory if you're a guitarist? Well, in today's video, I'm going to talk about two books that I'm going to review and recommend if you want to learn music theory on the guitar. So stick around. Hey there, welcome back. My name is Justin from bedheadguitarist.com. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you like this video, do consider liking it. Do consider subscribing as well for more on this channel, for more information, for more videos. In this YouTube channel, I talk about reviews and lessons on how to be a better guitar player. So one thing I would like to address is that definitely learning music theory is essential if you want to get ahead with your guitar playing. But the one trap that I don't want you to fall into is thinking that learning more theory will help with your playing. That's slightly controversial. What I mean by that is that there's this trap where you think that if you keep buying a lot of books, a lot of instructional DVDs, you will get better just by reading the theory. But that's not true. You need to make practical use of the theory. Once you've learned a certain concept, you need to learn how to put it into your playing and apply it straight away, so that you will not only understand it, but it will stick better, you will memorize it better. This video, I won't be doing this in this video because that's a huge topic in itself, and I hope to maybe show that to you in a video one day. So do stick around for the video, do subscribe if you can. So let's just get to the books. Alright, so the first book I'd like to introduce to you is a book by Leonard, and it's called, very simply put, it's just called Music Theory. And then you have a guitar on the front cover, which really suggests that it's a theory book for guitarists. So it's published by Leonard and actually came out in the year 2005, if I'm not wrong, which is pretty long ago. But I think this book has stood the test of time. It's a really great book. Let me review it and hopefully make this recommendation to you. This book is written by an author called Kolb. And if you don't know who Kolb is, he's a very prolific guitarist / author who has written countless numbers of books and instructional DVDs. In fact, when I was studying in Musicians Institute, he was my teacher in a level 3 guitar course. Really awesome teacher, he knows his stuff very well, and I highly recommend the rest of his for you to check out the rest of his instructional material. He's affiliated with a few different companies, so just type his name in Google and you'll be able to find him. But his stuff is really good, especially if you are a beginner guitarist or someone who just wants a boost to his playing to bring it up to the intermediate or advanced level. So what's great about this book? As you know already, this book is written for the guitarist in mind, and the way the author writes it, it's in a very comprehensive and simple manner. Every concept is broken down. Let's run through the chapters together. He starts off first in chapter 1. He talks about the fretboard, which is really interesting because you need to know the notes on the fretboard, and he breaks it down first. Then he goes on to some theory basics where he talks about what the staff line means, what the bar line means, what does key signature means, all very essential common terms to know if you need to know how to read music and eventually theory as well. Then he goes on to talk about scales and key signatures, intervals, triads, the major scale, chord construction, so on and so forth. Now, what's interesting about this book is that if you were to pick up any contemporary music book and you look at the contents minus the fretboard chapter, I feel that he really follows a very similar format that's the same as a lot of contemporary music books, where you first talk about the basics of notation, key signatures, and then he goes on, and then they go on to talk about scale construction, chord construction, and then the more advanced stuff like chord scales and altered chords and so on and so forth. So each chapter is really broken down. I don't know if you can see. Each chapter is really broken down into easy to read bits, and it's easy to get through the chapter. And at the end of every chapter, there is a drill or an exercise that you can do that will help you to understand the lesson better, and the answers at the back of the book. What I also like about this book is that it comes with an accompanying CD, which is kind of like a given these days, right, in the instructional books, that you need to include the instructional CD for you to want to buy the book. But he also does include like ear training exercises, guitar playing examples that, for example, guitar playing examples that show the different modes and the sounds. Now, the really good thing about this book, which I think is a huge bonus, is that when he explains the diagrams, he uses the guitar neck and the fretboard to visualize the concepts he's talking about. So maybe he's showing you compound intervals or intervals, and he's showing you how one note on the fretboard relates to the next note and what interval it is. Or he shows you how to construct a scale, and he uses the fretboard to show you the half steps and whole steps. The good thing about this is that he uses tablature as well. So not only is there notation, but if you're not too good at reading notes yet, although I always recommend that you try and learn how to read notes, especially if you want to understand more theory, you can just use the tablature that is included in this book, and it can get you along pretty easily. It's a really good book to use. I can't recommend this book enough. I think these days there are a lot of theory books in the market, but I think this book has really stood the test of time, although it's been 12 years since it first came out. Very easy to digest for someone who wants to get his feet wet in music, or in music theory, I mean. Now, the one thing I also want to point out in this book, which is going to sound like a very weird point, is in the thickness of the book. This book comes in about 104 pages, which if you're familiar with guitar books, it's kind of like in the mid-range of the thickness of the books available in the market. Now, very thin books, which are about maybe 30 pages and below, the trouble and the problem with these books sometimes is that they tend to be very general in the topics. They don't dive specifically, or they don't explain the topics in a very specific manner, and that can be too general, I feel, sometimes. On the flip side, the thicker books that run up to 150 pages and above tend to be overwhelming, because suddenly you get this really thick book that you need to go through, and you always run the risk of not completing the book, and because every chapter is too long, it's just difficult to get through. So the size of this book really is a really nice fit for someone who wants to bring the book around. You can read it on your way to work, or maybe to a guitar class, and you can always ask your teacher on concepts that you don't understand in this book. So as you can tell by now, I highly recommend this book. Do check it out. Music Theory by Leonard, right? Written by Kolb. Alright, now, the second book I'm going to recommend has another obvious title. It is called Contemporary Music Theory by Mark Harrison. It's a rather thick book, but let me explain the merits of this book. I love this book a lot. Mark Harrison is an author, and he's a pianist, and he has taught at the Grove School of Music in New York, I think. Right now he has his own website at harrisonmusic.com. Let me just double check that. Yes, harrisonmusic.com. Now, if someone would ask me whether they are guitarists or non-guitarists, what book should I get to learn more music theory, this would be it. Okay, there are 3 volumes in this series, but really, if you just want to get your feet wet, or you want to start learning some theory at the basic level, book 1 is more than enough for you. So if I just have to use one word to describe this book, it has to be comprehensive. I don't know, maybe the size of the book, which leads to bigger fonts, makes it easier to read. But the author really does a fantastic job of explaining concepts and really breaking it down into a simple manner. It's not only concise, but simple and easy to read, really easy to understand the topics. And it helps that included in this book, at the end of every chapter, the number of exercises and drills you can do is a lot. So by the time you complete an exercise at the end of a chapter, you really know you understand the concept really very well. What I also like about this book, he really builds it from the ground up. One of the things that he really dwells on, especially in the beginning, is talking about the whole idea of half steps and whole steps, and how he used that to construct major scales, and along with that he uses that to really build up the rest of the foundation of this book, which I really think is a great way to start the book and to learn more music theory. The chapter format is pretty standard, like I mentioned in the previous book. He starts off with, let me just get to the contents page. He starts off with notation basics, major scales and key signatures, and he moves on into intervals, triads, modal scales. And the interesting part about this book, he talks about 4-part chords and inversions, diatonic 4-part chords, and he goes on to the minor scale harmony, and then ending off with 4-part chords. Book 2 deals with the altered scales, and the I think he actually talks about modes in this book as well, and I feel that of all the books on modes that I've read so far, this is one of the better ones that I've read. So this is a really good book. It's suitable for all instrumentalists and vocalists, and you know, it really covers the basics. All you need to know to just get by if you're a performing guitarist and you want to really know what you're doing. Now, if you can guess by now, the only bad thing about this book is that it's really written for the piano player or people with some basic knowledge of piano playing, as all the diagrams and the pictures in this book are really drawn with the piano in mind, which is not a bad thing actually. It's just, I feel that it's useful to learn a little bit of keyboard, have a bit of basic keyboard knowledge to help you, because a lot of theory books are written in the perspective of a keyboard, so it'll be useful to be able to apply that. But that being said, as I've mentioned before, this book is pretty comprehensive, and I'm pretty sure that even as a guitarist, you'll be able to use the material or take the concepts, adapt it for use on the guitar. You know, the topics are really presented very well, and the only other thing is that you probably need to read music because there's no tablature. But you know, you just need some basic note reading to guide you along with this book. And because this book is really written for keyboardists, when he talks about the chords, you can just use your own chord voicings that you know, and then, you know, just try to follow along with the concepts. Alright, so these are the 2 books I highly recommend if you want to learn music theory. These 2 books have really helped me a lot with my progress as a musician. You know, there are many books in the market right now, and I'll be honest in saying that I don't know all these books, because these 2 books have worked for me so far. I don't see any reason to switch to another book to go through my basics again. I highly recommend these books. So how about you? What are the books that you have used in your journey to learn music theory as a guitarist, or just good guitar books in general? Maybe let me know in the comment section below. Tell me how you feel about these 2 books, if you have gone through them before. Or maybe you can recommend to everyone what are the books that you have used in your guitar playing career. I'll see you soon. I'll be reviewing more books in future videos. Let me know what you'd like to see. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Do consider subscribing, and I'll see you soon.